What's happening, Hardscapers? Today we are on our first new build of the season. We're going to be doing some steps and a walkway along the side of the house. So I'll walk you through what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be doing a lot of hand digging because we're near some utilities and we don't want to get exploded. So let's get into this. So essentially we're going to be building a retaining wall along this wall here. And that's going to allow us to build a walkway coming to that retaining wall. Obviously you can see the swale is nice and steep, so we can't build on this existing grade with our pavers. So the retaining wall is necessary all the way down. And we're going to be hand digging this because we got hydro that runs along there. We can't dig within a meter of any utilities. That's going to come down and we're going to have about 8 steps coming down here, and the walkway is going to continue to about that downspout area. So yesterday I was so frustrated I didn't even film this, but they've got 1, 2, 3 mini skid steers. And this is definitely the problem with renting, because even though I came here the evening before, drove by, saw that they had these 3 skid steers on the lot, figured it'd be no problem for me to go pick one up the next morning, especially since this is just like a 5-minute drive from the job site. Typically I get them delivered. I've got myself planned out well in advance that I just have them delivered just so I know that I have them, as opposed to showing up and hoping that they're here. But in this case, 3 of them, I figured it'd be no problem. Show up in the morning, 1's gone, and 2 of them need service. They are broken down. And that just frustrated me because we could have used it in a small sort of spot on that project to get going. And even if I can only use a piece of equipment for a small area, I'll go ahead and rent it because I've already built it into the project. I've got no problem with picking up a piece of equipment or having a piece of equipment dropped off, because that's my business model. It's just having everything there on site ready for me and ready to go, delivered as much as possible. I'm not in the delivery business. I'm not in the hauling business. I'm in the installing business. So I just want to be off the road as much as possible. When you don't own a piece of equipment like this and you are reliant on just being able to get it, that's the downside to renting, and that's what kind of bit me in the butt here with this. In the past 2 years of being a more design build business, I haven't fallen into this problem. I did phone around after realizing that I couldn't get either of these pieces of equipment, and just nobody could get me that piece of equipment, obviously last minute. But I did fall into 2 of those situations last year, and luckily there is a company that is very good at getting me a piece of equipment when I need it. They just didn't happen to have one yesterday. So obviously the demand for equipment, demand for outdoor projects has gone up, continues to stay there, and that is the problem that I find myself in. And I'm going to now just plan my projects appropriately, make sure that I've got that piece of equipment delivered, booked in, so that I know it's going to be there, rather than showing up here hoping it's there, hoping that I can get it, and hoping that I can move on with the project. Like I said, this project wasn't that big of a deal. It's not that big of an excavation, and for the most part, for at least a third of it, we had to hand dig anyways because we're so close to utilities. But it would have been nice to be able to get this piece of equipment. So this is all done to the depth pretty much where we need it. We're gonna expand that trench a little bit. It's a bit tricky because we're getting into the swale, into another property line, so we're trying to keep this as narrow as possible, but this is pretty much dug out now. We would have had to hand dig this anyways, being that the utilities are here and they go out here. So this area and 39 inches past this would have had to been hand dug anyways. Would have been nice to get a machine to continue along this path and then in down here, but it is what it is. That's the difficulty of going about renting equipment. I haven't had this happen just yet with renting, and at least the 2 years where I've been in this design build space and doing my own excavations, it's been pretty smooth sailing. There has been a few close calls, but typically there's more than enough rental places that are willing to deliver, especially fairly last minute, like I'm usually with planning. There is close to this job a rental store that I usually just pick up on my way to this area, and those two pieces of equipment were down that you saw, and I called around, and it seems to be the demand is there for projects, for renting pieces of equipment. It's just impossible to get something unless you can pick it up, and obviously that place was completely not even rented out, but the two pieces of equipment that I wanted were down. So you know what, hand digging, it sucks, but we get it done. By the way, this is the next day that I'm filming this. It is not as cold as it was that previous day. We are going to clean some things up here. It's not a very even excavation. We still have about one more day of just cleaning things up, and we'll get going on this. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful for whatever reason. Like this video if you found it helpful, please. That really helps me out in getting this video out there into more people's eyes, ears. Leave a comment below if you have anything that you want to talk about, anything that you want to comment about how I run my business, how you think I should run my business, or anything in between. Comment section below, please. Subscribe to this YouTube channel for more hardscaping content. Thank you so much for watching.